Hi! So what I have for you today is some beautiful exercises for you to share Reiki with your garden in the winter to improve the health and well-being of the plants in your garden and those green spaces that are next to you. So stay listening. If you don't know who I am Faye Johnston. I am the author of Plant Spirit Reiki, Energy Healing with the Elements of Nature, and I've been practicing Reiki for 20 years. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to some of these exercises, which are actually you'll find in the book. So I've got 9 ways here and I'm going to dive in. So the first thing that we want to do with the garden, with our green spaces, is we want to get into this beautiful heart space. We want to tune into Reiki, ask Reiki to flow through us. And so we can do this by taking what we call an intuitive nature walk. We can ask to be guided as we walk and notice which areas we feel drawn to. And while we are walking, we can beam Reiki through our hands as we are walking. Knowing that we are holding that vibration of Reiki, and knowing that the countryside that we pass through, the plants, the creatures that we come into contact will be benefiting from that vibration of Reiki that we are holding. So what I find, that's a really useful one when it's really cold and you think, I don't really want to be outside, but I feel like I want to share some Reiki with the green space today. So what we can do also when we feel intuitively guided as we are walking, we might feel drawn to certain plants that it feels like we want to spend time with. And what we can do easily when we're outside is to beam Reiki. So what I do in this way, what I mean by beaming Reiki, I mean I don't have to get up too close to the plants. I can simply ask Reiki to flow through my hands, and I can beam Reiki through my hands. And this can be really useful for us when we are outside and we don't necessarily want other people to know that we are sending Reiki to the bushes in our local park, for example. It's fine if you're in your garden, but if you're feeling self-conscious when you're out in public, then beaming Reiki through your hands is a really useful exercise to help those green spaces close to you. Also, breathing. So sending Reiki through your breath is another way of beaming, and again another subtle way of allowing that beautiful flow of Reiki to flow through you as a channel, and channel to those areas of those green spaces that you feel would benefit and are open to receiving this healing energy. So number 4, one of the ways I love to send Reiki in the winter is to place my hands on trees. Because we know in the wintertime many plants they're not in hibernation, but they are certainly, energy levels are much lower than they would be in the summer, because they're not producing flowers, they're not producing leaves, they're not producing fruits, and so on. So all their energy is going into the roots. It can be really comforting to place your hands on the bark of a tree, on the trunk of a tree, and spend 20 minutes, 15 minutes, or even 5 minutes if you don't have much time, sending Reiki to a tree that, again, one that you feel called to, one that you feel would love the Reiki, would benefit from having your healing hands placed upon them. And also we can do this with the earth as well. So if we want to do practice hands-on healing, we can place our hands on tree bark, on tree trunks, or also really directly on the earth. And this is really a lovely way of sending your appreciation and your gratitude to Mother Earth for all of the bounty, for all of the nourishment, and all of the support that Mother Earth will have been providing you with this year. So another one I love to do, and this is a really simple one, we can do this for plants in our houses too, and that is sending Reiki, so charging stones. So sometimes I will use regular rocks and stones that I find in my garden. Other times I will use crystals. I have a lovely Labradite crystal here which I like to use, and what I mean by charging that is I will hold my hands out and I will hold this crystal in my hand, beaming Reiki, asking Reiki to flow for the highest good of all beings. And then what I can do when I feel this is ready, I will place it under a plant, next to a tree, wherever I feel in my garden, or in that wider green space of the landscape surrounding me, I will place this to kind of beam out that Reiki to help the environment there. So moving on, where am I at? I think I'm at number 6, which is, by the way, I'm keeping my favorite one to last. So you have to keep watching to my absolute all-time favorite one, which is number 9. So on number 6, here I am. We have to remember that when we're beaming Reiki out into nature, we're not just beaming Reiki out into the plants that are there, but actually also we must remember the nature beings, those elementals, the fairy folk, the gnomes, the green helpers, those earth keepers who are in the unseen realms helping behind the scenes. So sometimes I like to sit, just like I am now, ask Reiki to flow, and I'm beaming out Reiki with the intention that it is going to the nature beings in my garden that are caretaking this garden with me. So that's a lovely one to remember if we want to really maintain that lovely balance and harmony within not just the environment of maybe our garden, but in our community. Because when we look after green spaces, we are looking after that vibration of our community. So if there are green spaces in your community that need a boost, that feel a little like sad or down at heel, send Reiki to them. And as we know, the great thing about Reiki is if it's too cold, if you don't want to be physically outside, you can be inside in your Reiki space, nice and warm, beaming and sending Reiki out to the green spaces or to the nature beings, from wherever you are, from the comfort of your home. Okay, we don't have to physically be out in nature. So after so number 6 was the Reiki, the nature beings. Moving on, number 7, this is again remembering the creatures in your garden. So remembering the beautiful creatures that will be hibernating, like the hedgehogs and all of the lovely bird life that's there, and the bugs and the foxes and any wildlife which is in physically, those creatures which are in the garden, which depend on the garden space for shelter, for food and so on. It's really lovely I know we do physical acts of kindness such as leaving food out for garden birds and so on, but remember also that we can send Reiki, we can beam Reiki out with the intention that those creatures, if they wish to receive Reiki, will receive Reiki, and what we're doing here is we're just tuning into that vibration of well-being to help the habitats, because we know that our habitats are under threat. So if we can do our part with our Reiki hands, adding them to our list of healing every day, then, or every week whenever we do our distance healing, then these are really lovely pointers to add, and you will feel those benefits when you are in your garden or walking out into your community. So number 8 here is about gathering with friends. Okay, so gathering outside with friends, maybe around a campfire, singing songs, honoring, sharing Reiki, sharing stories, and just as a celebration really to nature, to the elements, to Mother Earth, to the nature beings, to the creatures, and all the plant friends that you have. So that is a beautiful ceremony and celebration to do, to come together, to everybody honoring those parts of nature that call to them, the plants and that they feel allied with, or maybe even just the nourishment and support that the earth gives us through our food and our clean water and shelter. So that's beautiful. But here we are, I'm gearing up to number 9, which is my Reiki Balls in Nature exercise. So that, you will find this in the book Plant Spirit Reiki, and it is a really important tool to remember as you go out in nature, not just in your garden space to give your thanks and appreciation, but actually when you're out in city parks or more urban environments, or when you are thinking about environments which are under threat. So what Reiki Balls in Nature is simply you walking through nature. So you're taking one of those intuitive walks in nature, you're asking to be guided, you are asking that Reiki flows through you for the highest good of all beings. And then what I simply do is, as I'm asking Reiki to flow, I feel the energy gathering in my hands, and I will feel this gathering maybe to the size of, say, a grapefruit or even a basketball. And at that point, I'm usually like, you know what? This feels good. And then what we're doing is we're going to place that ball of beautiful love, high vibrational energy by a plant or in a place in nature that you feel will benefit from this Reiki healing ball. And I always place that with the intention that if that Reiki is not needed, that it'll be kept there until it will be needed. And if it isn't needed, then I ask that it is transformed and it's received by the earth. And you can continue that exercise as you walk through, placing this lovely gratitude ball of Reiki into areas of your garden, areas of your green space, or those parks and wastelands around you that you feel will benefit from this beautiful high vibration of love, and which is really carrying your appreciation. So I want to place, so for example, for me in my garden, I'll be wanting to place them in around my vegetable garden as a thank you to the garden for providing me with this nourishing food. I'll also place them by key trees, and maybe by areas like bird tables, or where I feel the birds or other creatures are gathering. So that is there's 9 different ways there, believe it or not, for you to work with Reiki through the green spaces, through your garden spaces this winter. And if you would like a free sample of Plant Spirit Reiki, there is a free chapter, so just download that in the link below. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you soon. Take care, everybody.